Hello, welcome to the Quakes Motel. My name's Conan. In today's video, we're going to look at auto sampling in the new desktop software from Akai, sampling your favorite VST3 instruments. Let's jump in. Okay, so I'm not going to go massively into depth or into detail rather on how to auto sample on the MPC. It's pretty much the same process as it was on the previous desktop software. I'll go into a little bit of detail so that you know how to do it, but there's a lot more to it, and there's plenty of other videos that go into a lot more depth. So there's no need for me to do that. Basically, it is possible to auto sample and sample your favorite VST3 instruments in the new software, but things are a little bit different from the previous version of the software. So what I'm going to do very, very quickly is I'm going to auto sample something in the previous software and just show you how you do it and how you would then save, and then show you how it's very slightly different in the new software. Okay, so I've got the older software open, and what I'm going to do is just quickly load up a plugin. Obviously it'll be VST2 because you can't open VST3 in the older software. Just very, very quickly going to do this. Okay, let's just turn the effects off there. I don't really need that delay. Okay. So, great synth, by the way. Okay, so what you used to do is you would go into Tools and you would open up Auto Sampler. We'll leave it. Okay, basically, this will set what range you want to record in your auto sampler. Actually, before I go any further, just make sure that you name this, because otherwise you end up having loads of instruments just called plugin 1 or plugin 2, etc. So get into the habit of doing that. It just saves you having to rename it later on. Okay, see, now you've got it up there. There we go. So you can leave everything as it is. It's pretty simple. Going to leave that range. I'm going to leave the stride as well. That's basically how many notes it samples. So it will sample one note, then it will jump 6 notes, then it will sample the next note. So if you want a really, really detailed version, then you're going to want to go for 1. But 6 is fine because I'm just showing you how to do this quickly. We'll leave this layer as well. Like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail. We'll leave it at 3 seconds with a 1-second tail. I don't need to have loop on. That's always on by default. And as you can see at the bottom, it's going to take 16 seconds to do. So what it's quickly going to do is basically record each note, 1, then jump to 6 notes, then record, then jump 6 notes in that range, C2 to C4. So it'll be 2 octaves, basically. So we'll just do that very quickly. Really exciting. So once that's done, then what you used to do is you would go into here and you would be able to, I can never remember which one it is. Here we go. You could save the current program. And what that would do is, as you can see, AX73 XPM file. And you would save that wherever you wanted to save it. You could then drag and drop that into your MPC Standalone and use that as an instrument. It was really, really simple, straightforward. It's a really, really good thing to use. And you know, if you've got a bunch of synths that you want to, hardware as well, not just synths, anything, as long as it's got MIDI, you can capture hardware synths as well. It's amazing. It's a really, really good tool, and people don't talk about it enough. But that's basically how you used to do it in the old software. And remember, .xpm file. As far as I know, that was the only way you could save it, as an XPM file. You could also save it in a project, etc. as well. So I don't need to save that, and we will now close that down. So now I'm going to open the new software and show you what the differences are. We'll stick with the new project. And I don't want that project. I don't want that in there. I don't know why it loads trap kit. I suppose I need to make templates basically, don't I? Same old, same old. Okay, so I'm going to open a plugin instrument, plugin track rather. This time we'll go for VST3. And we will just pick something at random. Okay, I know this Baby Audio one works. This is a great little synth, actually. Not expensive at all. Let's make sure it's all recording all right. Yes, it is. It's fine. Okay, so the way that we would auto sample in the new software, like I said, it's quite similar. Go into Tools again, and this time you go into Auto Sampler, same as. We won't touch anything here again. I've forgotten to do that, haven't I? So you make sure that you name it. Let's just call it Baby Audio. Let's go into Tools again, sorry. And just make sure you get into the habit of doing that, because otherwise it's a real pain. So we'll leave that as it is, C264. We'll leave Note Stride 6, same as before. Won't touch the layer. I'll leave all that exactly the same. Obviously, do bear in mind that depending on what you're sampling, you do need to change the note length or the tail. If it's a very short, abrupt, percussive sound, you don't need 3 seconds or a 1 second tail. But if it's a really long note with a lot of sustain, then obviously you do need to change this. I'm just going to leave this. Actually, let's just take that back a little bit. I don't know why I did that. Could have just left it as it was, because I don't really care how it sounds anyway. As you can see, this will only take about 13 seconds. It takes a lot longer, obviously, if you have the note stride as one and you sample every single note with multiple layers. But this is just, I'm just showing you how to do it today, so I don't need to do that. So let's just do that again. Sorry, you could have skipped through that. So there we go again, and it's automatically loaded up my instrument in here now. So I'm not on that one anymore. The original Baby Audio one, I'm now on the auto sampled version. So you can see it's got 5 notes that it's sampled there. So if you go down to the actual instrument, you can now, if you go down to the actual instrument, you can go to save, and it will save the instrument, but look at the file. It's an XTY file. Now, if anybody wants to pipe in here and tell me more about .xty files, there's something that's been cropping up in MPC3, but there's really not very much information about them on the internet. And I did a search like, you might do right now, and there's not a lot, honestly. If you put in MPC and then .xty or just put XTY in or whatever, it doesn't really tell you very much information about it. So I'm assuming that it's some kind of new format or file, etc., for the MPC3 software. I also haven't tested to see if it opens in the older firmware, the 2.15. So if anybody wants to do that, feel free. But I can tell you that it does open in standalone. So, okay, so what we're going to do here is we'll just save this. This is just my default folder. We'll leave it at that. Everything's fine. Save that. One thing I have noticed as well is these XTY files save a lot quicker and load a lot quicker than XPM files, the old Akai programs. So again, like I said, I'm not exactly sure whether the XTY is a new program format or track format, etc. It could be. Honestly, I've got absolutely no idea, to be honest. So if anybody does know any more information about it, please pipe up and write in the comments below. Let me know. More information we have, the better. So that is all I needed to do inside the software. So now what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to drag and drop that instrument that I've just made into my MPC, and I'll show you how quickly you can literally record your favorite instrument, VST3, like we've just done with the auto sampler, and then drag and drop it into your MPC. Okay, so I have the MPC here. We'll open up a new project. We want to go into controller mode. This is how I tend to do it anyway. There are other ways to drag and drop onto your SD card, obviously, but this is the way that I'll do it. So that just comes up really quickly. If we go into MPC instruments, what I'll do is I'll make a little folder. Should have done this before, really. Just call that Baby Audio. And you can see I've got the XTY file there. And you can also see there's the track data there, which is obviously the samples. So we'll drag that in. I'm now just going to drop that onto my SD card. So there you go. In the Baby Audio folder, we have everything that we need. So now I can go back into my MPC. We'll go back into standalone. Okay, so we're back in Standalone. Let's go into New Project. We will go into Browse. Oh, I'm already in there. There we go. So now I just need to find that baby audio folder. Here we go. And as you can see, if we load that to a new track, go back into there, and there we go. Simple as that. Now, what I did forget to do is, I say forget, it depends on how you want it. At the moment, if I go into Program Edit, you'll see that I've got that as Note On. What you might want to do in the software is change it to one shot, but it just depends on what sounds that you're going to be using. But you can change it, obviously, in the MPC Standalone. But it's that easy. So there you have it. Once you get into the hang of it, you can literally make your own instrument from your favorite VST3 plugin and turn it around in minutes. You can go from the software and drag and drop it into your MPC. You don't actually even need to close down the software. You could drag and drop it straight into your MPC from there because you've got access to the SD card in the Akai software. So really, really simple. I love auto sample. And I've got to be honest, I think I might have said this in a previous video. I wasn't a big user, and I'm still not really a big user of the Akai software. But what I did use it for, pretty much the only thing that I used it for, to be honest, was to auto sample, because it just makes things so easy and so quick. Sometimes I would find there'd be a few problems in the actual MPC Standalone when I was doing it. And obviously as well, you don't have access to VST or VST3 instruments in there. So using the software, even if you just use the software to take all of your favorite VST or your favorite hardware and auto sample your own instruments. A lot of the instruments which I've given away to you guys free have been done using that process, using the auto sample. Certainly the solid bass that I gave away and the Korg M1 piano that I gave away, they were all off the original hardware and I used auto sample. It's so easy, so quick once you get the hang of it. It seems a bit complicated to start with, but once you get the hang of it, it's so easy. And now, because we've got VST3, or at least we can open most of our VST3 instruments in the new beta version of the software, and I'm sure they're going to iron out the problems. It's just so quick and easy. If I was to condense the actual operation of opening the software, making an instrument out of my favorite preset, taking that instrument and then saving it, then taking it into my MPC Standalone, it literally would have been minutes maximum. So get on it, enjoy. Thanks for watching. This is The Crates Motel. My name's Conan. Till next time.